Welcome to 13 Universal, learning beyond barriers. Yeah, we are on again at A-level Caie biology. Okay, and we are looking at animal transport MCQ P1 series 3. So I want to wish you again the best of luck as you write your last multiple choice question on the 11th of June 2024. Let's go. Get everything you need, your writing materials. Let's solve some questions. Okay, so the first question there says what are present, right, in the wall of veins. Okay, pause the video and check it out. So the wall of veins, what are present there? Just like an artery, if you check the wall of veins, just like that of the artery. So what are found there? You don't need to waste time with these guys. Don't waste time, don't waste time, don't waste time, guys. Don't waste time, don't waste time. Of course, we know that veins have elastic walls. So they have just like artery, they have 3 layers. Okay, just trying to, pardon my drawing, trying to revise this. Okay, so if this were to be a vein, guys, the outermost layer is called tunica externa. So this has collagen fiber, okay, and of course elastic tissue. The middle one is called tunica media. It has smooth muscle, collagen fiber, and elastic tissue. So this is the endothelium, the inner layer. Of course, this is the lumen. Okay, so that means all of these are there. Do you get? Don't forget that the smooth muscle, anyway, it controls the flow, and by controlling the diameter of artery and vein. Okay, when it contracts, diameter becomes constricted. When it relaxes, diameter becomes widened. Okay, and of course elastic fiber and collagen, they prevent, in arteries, they prevent it from bursting. Okay, and of course in artery, elastic fiber maintains blood pressure. Okay, so the answer, vein, artery, contains all of this. Okay, don't forget it. So they're all present. Let's move it. Which rule is correct for the location of molecule or cell? Let's go. Try it, guys. This is type of molecule, blood, of course, lymph, tissue, all these are there found here. So pause the video and try it. Now if you look at antibodies are found in the blood, so that disqualifies this. Plasma proteins are found in the blood, yes, but they're also found in lymph and tissue fluid. Okay, so that disqualifies. See, that makes this wrong. Okay, B wrong. When you take on C, lymphocytes are found in all of these. That's correct. Okay, of course D is wrong because phagocytes are found in lymph. So the answer is actually C. Okay, they're all found in all of these. They're all found in blood, lymph, tissue. Is that okay? So C is correct. Let's go. What effect does decreasing carbon dioxide concentration have on hemoglobin? Yeah, what effect does it have? So pause the video and show us what you have. Okay, yeah, what effect does decreasing, what is called decreasing, when you reduce carbon dioxide, all right, concentration, what effect does it have on hemoglobin? Okay, so which one is the answer? Does it allow hemoglobin to bind more to the oxygen or not? All right, so but don't forget, I'm just going to give you background information. You remember that carbon dioxide, all right, when it's in respiring tissue, don't forget this, that carbon dioxide usually combine with water inside red blood cell, if you remember this. Okay, and then it forms carbonic acid. This first reaction is catalyzed by an enzyme called carbonic anhydrase, but this acid is weak, so it dissociates to form hydrogen ion. Is that okay? Yeah, that's proton, and then plus hydrogen carbonate ion. So the forward reaction, they're all occurring in respiring tissue. The backward reaction occurs in alveoli. So guys, you can see now, of course, when we get to the alveoli, the backward reactions occur. Do you get? Yeah, good. So if we look at this, it said it is less efficient at taking up oxygen. That's talking about hemoglobin. If we decrease the carbon dioxide concentration, what happens to hemoglobin? It says it is less efficient at taking up oxygen and less efficient at releasing oxygen. Guys, remember that carbon dioxide binds to the terminal amine group of hemoglobin to form carbaminohemoglobin. Is that okay? But you see, because it produces, when it dissolves in water, protons are formed. So protons bind to the same site as oxygen. Okay? And that is why in respiring tissue, what happens is that hemoglobin, remember, this is oxyhemoglobin in respiring tissues. Oxyhemoglobin, in order to act as a buffer, right, releases oxygen. Do you get? In order to bind with hydrogen, so it dissociates to give us Hb plus oxygen. That's 4 molecules of O2. Now, why is it doing this? Because it wants to bind to hydrogen ion. It wants to bind to proton. So hemoglobin, wants to maintain the pH of the blood, because hydrogen ion concentration increasing could increase the acidity, right? All right, it could change the pH and denature the important enzyme. So you see, hemoglobin takes up this guy called hydrogen ion. Say, guy, I don't want you to cause problem. Come, I'm going to transport you. So see, hemoglobin is releasing oxygen, okay, in order to take up hydrogen ion and then to form what we call hemoglobinic acid. Is that okay? So this is hemoglobinic acid. Remember, the forward reaction is occurring in respiring tissue, but when we get to alveoli, the backward reaction occurs, right? So this is called Bohr effect. Look, anytime we have less concentration of carbon dioxide, we're going to have less concentration of what is it called? H plus, okay? And then hemoglobin will combine more with oxygen. See, it will combine more with oxygen. But anytime we have high concentration of carbon dioxide, there will be more H plus formed. More H plus formed. So hemoglobin will release oxygen so that it can combine with proton. That's called Bohr effect. Okay, that as the concentration or partial pressure of CO2 increases, right, then the percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen decreases. That's Bohr effect. Hemoglobin always releases oxygen in order to combine with hydrogen plus as a result of increasing partial pressure of CO2. Is that okay? So now, if we have less of this, hemoglobin will bind more with oxygen and it will not release oxygen. So A says it is less efficient at taking oxygen. No, it's going to be more efficient at taking oxygen because hemoglobin will bind more with oxygen. Okay? There is no competition for the binding site hemoglobin. We have less of this. Okay? Now B says it is less efficient at taking oxygen. It will not be less efficient at taking oxygen because we have less CO2 and therefore less proton. So let's check C and D out. It is more efficient at taking up oxygen, that's correct, and less efficient at releasing oxygen. Yes. So it will not easily release oxygen. One of the reasons why hemoglobin releases oxygen here, okay, is in order to bind with proton. Okay? So, and proton is produced, right, when CO2 dissolves in water inside red blood cell. So if you have less of this, less of CO2, we're going to have less of proton, and therefore hemoglobin will less likely release oxygen. Okay, all right, combines with it more. Do you get? So That is why C is correct. Now D said it is more efficient at taking up oxygen and more efficient at releasing. No, it is more efficient at releasing oxygen when we have high CO2 concentration, which gives rise to high proton concentration. That's Bohr shift. So this is okay, wrong, and that is why anytime we increase CO2 concentration, like what we said, right? If you look at this Bohr dissociation curve, hemoglobin, this is at low CO2 concentration, low partial pressure of CO2. Okay, now when partial pressure of CO2 increases, the graph always shifts to the right. Okay, it moves to the right here. Okay, that means that the percentage saturation of oxygen reduces as CO2 concentration increases. Okay, yeah, anyway, we're going to solve more questions on this. Okay, so the answer is D, C. Yeah, C. That's the answer. Charlie. All right. Why does red blood cell count increase in humans as they start living at high altitude? Okay. When people travel to high altitude, the red blood cell count increase. Why does it happen? Okay. So if you travel to Kenya today or Himalayan mountain of India or whatever, okay, your red blood cell is going to actually increase after a while. Why? Pause the video and tell us the answer. Shout it out. Pause the video. Now A says to allow more carbon dioxide to be excreted by the lungs, preventing a fall in blood pH. No, that's not the reason. To allow more oxygen to be taken up by hemoglobin as the partial pressure of oxygen is lower. Yes, at higher altitude. Now, once altitude increases, the partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs decreases. Remember that, okay? So partial pressure of oxygen in the lung decreases, and because of that, hemoglobin's affinity for oxygen decreases. Hemoglobin binds less readily with oxygen, and then hemoglobin becomes less saturated with oxygen, guys. So in order to increase, so you see at that point less oxygen is transported. In order to increase the amount of oxygen transported, of course the body is going to make some changes. An enzyme called EPO, erythropoietin, will be released that causes increase in the production of red blood cell, so you can have more hemoglobin that can transport oxygen. Okay. C says to allow more oxygen to be taken up by lungs as there is low percentage of oxygen in the air. No, this is wrong, because at high partial pressure, if you take any sample of air and check it, the percentage of oxygen in air still remains the same thing. Okay, 21%. All right. The only thing that changes is the partial pressure, because the higher you go, the thinner the air. So that's why this is wrong. This says to allow more oxygen to be transported as the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen is lowered. To allow more oxygen to be transported. Okay, so as the affinity. So the major problem here is that the partial pressure is low. See, that C and B and D looks familiar, right? But you see, if you're allowing more oxygen to be transported, as the affinity of let's go back to that. Okay, yeah, you can see that. So the answer is C. All right, so that is it. I think we've done this. Yeah, this is where we were. Yeah, so we've been able to say that the answer for this is C. Did you get? Yeah, so this is C, and not C. C is wrong because of 21%. The answer is B. Yes, we ticked it here. Yes. Okay. So now this is D is wrong. Why? They said to allow more oxygen to be transported as the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen is lowered. But it didn't tell us why it was lowered. It was lowered because the partial pressure of oxygen, okay, is lower. So B is more suitable, right? Let's go. The photo micrograph shows a section through a tissue with an artery. That's an artery, guys. Wow, what a cute diagram. Okay, which row correctly shows the type of artery and whether the blood inside the artery is oxygenated or deoxygenated? Okay, so I want you to pause the video and let's see what you got. Yeah, show us what you know. Okay, exam, the last paper is around the corner. So show us. Now, don't forget, guys, that this looks like alveoli. Is that okay? This looks like the lungs. This artery takes blood to the lungs. So this artery must be pulmonary artery. So arteries that take blood closest to destinations are called muscular arteries. Okay, because the blood pressure is is relatively low. All right, so they have more of smooth muscles. So they are not elastic. The ones that are called elastic are the ones that take blood directly at high pressure from the heart, high pressure, and that is aorta. So this carries it to, okay, to the lungs. So that's muscular. And then, of course, pulmonary artery transports deoxygenated blood. Right, does not transport oxygenated blood. So it's a muscular artery. So the answer is A, guys. Let's go. Heart surgery may cause a decrease in the transmission of impulses in the porcine tissue. All right, to the right side of the heart. You can say right side of the heart, right side of the heart. Okay. All right. Says what is a possible effect of this decrease? So these are the options. So which one do you go for, guys? Pause the video and try the question. So why is there a decrease in transmission of impulse in the porcine tissue to the right artery of the heart? So what shows it? Okay, what effect? So we're looking at the effect. Which effect will it have? Which effect? So A says impulses will be delayed by atrioventricular valve. Of course, atrioventricular node. Atrioventricular node always delays impulse. You know that. Okay, so that's not effect. So this is wrong. Okay, B says the muscle of the right ventricle would contract slightly more slowly than the muscle of the left ventricle. Yes, so it will contract more slowly because the impulse that causes it to, okay, to contract, and that impulse is low in right side. So right ventricle, like they said here, right ventricle would contract less, okay, slightly more slowly. Okay, so this is correct. But let's see why the others are wrong. The muscle of the right atrium would not contract. Okay, so this is not the effect of it. Do you get? Because at this point, right atrium would have contracted. Do you get? We're looking at porcine tissue. Porcine tissue takes impulse to the ventricles. Atria contract once sinoatrial node sends out, all right, impulses, all right, waves of excitation. So this is not what we're looking for. Okay, we're looking at for the effect. Okay, the effect. Now this says sinoatrial node will transmit fewer impulses. No, it is not the effect of this. Okay, so the answer is of course B. Let's go. The diagram shows a network of blood vessels that supply blood to muscle tissue in human body. You can see that. What is a correct comparison between the blood at X and the blood at Y? This is Y, okay? When the muscle tissue is at rest. Come on. So, yeah, well, which option is the right answer there? What is the correct answer, guys? So you can see that this is artery. All right, the pressure here is usually high. This is vein, because this is, of course, tissue fluid will be formed here, right? Okay, it's a blood pressure at X compared with blood pressure at Y. Artery carries blood with high pressure. Is that okay? All right, so the blood pressure at X will be higher than that of Y. That is why tissue fluid will be forced out. Is that okay? Down hydrostatic pressure gradient, because artery carries blood at higher pressure, so that will force tissue fluid to leak out through the endothelial pores or capillary. So because of that, A and B eliminated, okay, because the blood pressure will be high. So let's go to C and D. Water potential of blood at X compared with water potential of blood at Y. Now once hydrostatic pressure is high, okay, water potential will also be high, because water potential, remember that formula, that water potential, that relationship, water potential, do you get? is directly proportional to pressure potential or hydrostatic pressure potential. So once pressure increases, water potential will increase. So so this is of course, yeah, correct. Yeah, this is wrong. So C should be the answer. All right, let's look at the next question. Scientists have shown that oxygen dissociation curves for hemoglobin of smaller mammals are to the right of those of larger mammals. So the curve is to the right of those of larger mammals. Okay, let's see the implication. Pause the video. I like this question. Okay, pause the video and try it first by yourself. Okay, so if you want to paint the picture, now this is curve. Come with me, let's solve it. Okay, yeah, now this is the partial pressure of oxygen, right? That's partial pressure, you can call it pp. All right, this is percentage saturation, so percentage saturation, call it ps. Okay, so this graph is usually a sigmoid graph. Sigmoid, it goes like this, S shape. Okay, and then levels of, okay, pardon me, of course there are two graphs here based on the question. So they said, now this, let's assume that this is for larger mammals, so call it L, larger mammals. The question says here that scientists have shown that the oxygen dissociation curves for hemoglobin of smaller mammals are to the right of those of larger mammals. Now this is larger mammals, the smaller ones are to the right. This is the right side. Okay, so this is smaller mammals, the one for smaller mammals. Okay, now automatically if you check it, now if you look at this is, for example, okay, let me just come here. Now look at this point. Now this is the partial pressure. Okay, let me call this the partial pressure P. Look at it. If at this partial pressure, if you trace the percentage saturation, okay, for each of these mammals, okay, can you see? Now I'm dealing with that of small mammal because it's the percentage saturation that helps us to know which hemoglobin has higher affinity for oxygen. So you can see that it is low here. If I this at the same pressure, all right, let's see what happens to the hemoglobin of larger animals. Okay, see that the percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen for that of large animals is high based on this graph. So once you know this, you know that the higher the percentage saturation of a particular hemoglobin with oxygen, what that means is that the more affinity the hemoglobin has, okay, for oxygen. So that means that the larger mammal has higher affinity for oxygen than the smaller mammal. Can you see? Because smaller mammal releases oxygen quickly. At this pressure, right, is less combined with oxygen because the percentage saturation is low. Okay, let's go to the question. At low partial pressures of oxygen, it binds to oxygen more strongly, right, than the hemoglobin of larger mammals. But you know this is wrong because you can see at low partial pressure, if you come here now, at low partial pressure, it does not bind more, okay, strongly, okay, bind more strongly with hemoglobin because you can see the percentage saturation is low compared to that of higher larger mammals. Can you see? So you can see. So if it binds to it strongly, that means the percentage saturation will be high. But even at that low partial pressure, the percentage saturation is still lower than that of large animals. This is why this statement is wrong, guys. Now B says it saturates with oxygen. Now this is talking about smaller mammals. Let's see how they play it. It saturates with oxygen at lower partial pressure of oxygen than hemoglobin of larger mammals. That's not true, because at lower pressure, if I call this lower pressure, we have seen that lower pressure. Okay, see the percentage saturation is low. The same pressure for larger mamma. Okay, larger mamma is higher than it. So this statement is not correct, guys. Hope you understand. Now C says it releases oxygen more easily than hemoglobin of larger mamma. Yes, now you are talking. Can you see? It releases oxygen more easily. At this partial pressure, the amount of oxygen it's carrying is very low. That means it has started releasing oxygen. Okay? So the lower the... Now look at it, guys. See the secret. The lower the percentage saturation of hemoglobin for oxygen, the lower the affinity of that hemoglobin for oxygen, and the more readily it releases oxygen. Okay? That means it has less affinity. The higher the percentage saturation of hemoglobin for particular hemoglobin for oxygen, the higher the affinity, and more likely it combines with oxygen, or less likely it releases it. So C is the answer, guys. Now D says when the partial pressure of oxygen is high, it carries more oxygen than the hemoglobin of large animals. It's not true. Can you see the higher partial pressure? If you go to this higher partial pressure, trace it, guys. Let's trace it. All right. Can you see that it? Now this is small mamma. Now, if you check the percentage saturation, trace it to the graph. Trace it. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, it may not be straight, but you see, it cannot be higher than the same high pressure. Trace it to larger mamma, the curve, and then extrapolate it, okay, to the, can you see that larger mamma is bigger than it, okay? So this option is wrong, is that okay? So what we got is C. Let's roll it, guys. What is an effect, what is an effect of an increased concentration? Increased concentration. Remember, increased concentration of carbon dioxide. Pay attention to that in the blood. Okay, what is an effect of that? What is an effect of that, guys? Okay, so you've got to pause the video and show us your talent. All right. So what is the effect? So if I increase the concentration of CO2, I've drawn this. Okay, I've written this formula before. But this is what should play in your mind as you solve this question. All right, make sure you have ticked the option. Okay, now this is it, guys. This should play in your mind. Now remember, CO2 combines with oxygen catalyzed by carbonic anhydrase to give us this acid here. This carbonic acid. Okay, see carbonic acid here. And this carbonic acid, of course, will dissociate to give us hydrogen ion and carbonate ion. Yeah, can you see? Carbonate. Yeah. All right. So you can see now all of this happening in respiratory tissue, but backward reaction occurs in alveoli. Okay. So all of this is happening inside the red blood cell in the respiratory tissue. This is red blood cell. I'm enclosing them inside red blood cell. Yeah. But you see, once this happens, you can see this guy will move out. Hydrogen carbonate ion, because it's transported in the plasma. Okay, let's assume that this is the wall of capillary. Okay. So this is plasma. Here is plasma. But inside is red blood cell. And of course, to balance the electron neutrality, negative and positive, chloride ion will move in when carbonate ion moves out. Remember, carbonate ion is transported in the plasma, so it has to leave the red blood cell and diffuse out of red blood cell to the plasma by facilitated diffusion. Okay, to balance the amount of negative and positive charges, chloride ions diffuses in. That's what we call chloride shift. All right, let's play a game. Come, let's look at each option. Increased movement. Remember, we're talking about increased concentration of carbon dioxide. So if I increase the concentration of carbon dioxide, guys, look at it. If I increase it, see what happened. There'll be more of this. Okay. Yes, and there'll be more of this. Yes, they will increase in concentration. Okay. So it's an increased movement of chloride ions out of red blood cell. It's an increase in the chloride ions out of red blood cell. Now chloride ion moves out of red blood cell only in the alveoli. Okay, so can you see, once you increase it, more of this will be formed and this moves out. When it moves out to be transported, chloride ion will move in. So chloride ion will move in more. It will not move out. Do you get? Because when you increase CO2 concentration, you increase hydrogen carbonate ion, and they will move out to be transported in the plasma. And once they move out, more chloride ion will move in. The more the concentration of hydrogen carbonate ions that move out, the more that of chloride ion, right, moves in. So chloride ion does not move out. Okay, so this is wrong. We got you. All right, now look at B. It says increased concentration of hemoglobinic acid. Yeah, remember that we're going to have more of this proton. Okay, because we have more of that proton, hemoglobin, all right, doesn't want problem. So see what happened. Hemoglobin says to oxygen, guys, it just says oxygen, look, we're having proton building up. Okay, can you just go away so that I can take care of it? So hemoglobin, oxyhemoglobin dissociates and releases oxygen, and then oxygen is not happy. Oxygen is crying and say, why do you leave me? Hemoglobin tells oxygen, don't worry, honey, we want to save the world. Go solve problem. They need you, and they also need me. So they need you for aerobic respiration, and they need me, all right, to remove proton. Okay, so hemoglobin, once there's increase in CO2 concentration, there'll be increase in the amount of proton. Okay, that's hydrogen ion, and then more hemoglobin will combine with more protons, so to form more hemoglobinic acid. So this is called hemoglobinic acid, guys. Okay, that's hemoglobinic acid. So if you increase the concentration of CO2, all right, therefore you're going to increase the amount of what? Proton. Okay, you increase this, you're going to increase this, and more this will be formed. So I think that question B is answered. But look at C says decrease concentration of hydrogen carbonate ions in the blood plasma. No, if you increase this concentration CO2, we're going to have more hydrogen carbonate ion, okay, and more of them will move into blood plasma, and then their concentration in the blood plasma will increase. So this is wrong, guys. D says decrease concentration of carbaminohemoglobin. Remember, if you have more CO2 will bind to a terminal group of hemoglobin, and of course they form more carbaminohemoglobin. So this is also wrong. Okay, so the answer is B. Let's run, guys. The diagram shows some of the events that happen between the plasma and red blood cells in the circulatory system. Let's see. See what we just drew now. So what do the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 represent? So I wanted to fry this fish. Okay, you shouldn't waste time. Okay, solve this problem. Can you see what we've been writing? Okay, this number 1, pause the video and then solve the question. Number 1, isn't it supposed to be CO2? So you go to where there's 1, CO2 is here. Okay, this is CO2. Okay, this is CO2. We have B and D. So we are trying to eliminate. We've already eliminated A and C. All right, because 1 is CO2. So let's check again. Number 2, C2 here. 2, can you see this is moving out? This should be hydrogen carbonate. Okay, so this is hydrogen carbonate. It's moving out. It's leaving red blood cell to plasma to be transported. So 2 is hydrogen carbonate. Okay, so you see D says that it's hydrogen plus. No, so you see that the answer is B. Now if you go on, you see that 3 is you can see hydrogen ion that combines with hemoglobin. Okay, yeah, this is correct. Okay, 4 is chloride ion. Chloride ion is moving in, right? Because hydrogen carbonate ion is moving out. That's called chloride shift. It's moving in to balance the electron neutrality, or to make sure the amount of negative ions and positive ions here are equal. Is that okay? So our answer is finally, guys, is Bravo. So Bravo is our answer. So that's it, guys. The diagram shows the valves in the heart view in cross section from above at different stages in cardiac cycle. Okay, this is cross section. This is cured. Semilunar valve, you can see that atrioventricular valves. So which stages in the cardiac cycle are shown? Which stages? Okay, now pause the video and try. Okay, pause the video and see how far you can solve this puzzle. Remember, guys, anytime you see these valves like this, one single line, Like you see, the lines are synced. Okay, that means valves are closed. Please, it means they are closed. Okay, yeah. So valve close here or close. But if you see double lines like this, okay, yeah. So you see double line, something like this. Okay, yeah. See, maybe smaller than this, but double line like this. Sorry. Okay, you see that it shows that the valves are open. So valves are open here. You see? Yeah, open. They're open. Yeah. So that means that this seminal valve close here. So at which stage does seminal valve close? This atrioventricular valve also close. Oh boy. Yeah, that's serious, man. Okay. When does seminal valve close? When the ventricle is relaxing. When does ventricle relax? Diastole. Okay. Diastole is when ventricles are relaxing. That's when it closes, so that blood does not flow from aorta or pulmonary arteries back to the ventricles. So is diastole. During diastole, the pressure in the ventricles becomes lower than the pressure in the aorta and pulmonary arteries. So the valve closed. The valve closed. Okay, so B and C eliminated, guys. So let's go to diagram 2. All right, during which stage does the atrioventricular valves close? They are closed. Just single line close. I mean, it's not double. Okay, it's closed. So that is when ventricles are contracting. When ventricles are contracting, the atrioventricular valves close so that blood does not flow back to the atria. So which one shows us ventricular systole between A and D? Of course it's A. So it's not atrial systole, okay? During atrial systole they open, okay? But ventricular systole they close. So our answer is A. Alright, let's fly. The diagram shows an anterior view of a vertical section through the human heart. Oh, what a lovely heart. Heart shows love, man. Whose heart is this? Definitely not mine. Is that your heart? Wow, your heart is fine. Okay, which row shows the correct labels for the diagram? Yep, let's check your biology out. Do you remember your structures very well? The basic test in biology is memory. What do you remember? Biology will test how much sharp your memory is. So, yeah, because there are too many things to remember exactly, accurately, the way it is. Now, pause the video and test yourself. Which row shows the correct label for diagram? Let's go to number 1. This number 1, which, okay, you can see that it is an artery, okay? But you see that this artery is connected to the right ventricle. Okay, the artery that's connected to the right ventricle is the pulmonary artery. So the right ventricle pumps the oxygenated blood into the pulmonary artery, so the pulmonary artery can take it to the lungs. So the guy is going to take it to the lungs for oxygenation. Okay, yes, for oxygenation. So one is pulmonary artery, not vein. So see, it's only one with pulmonary artery. Okay, so sorry, that's pulmonary artery. C is pulmonary artery. So you see, we don't need to go on. So that means the answer should be C. Okay, because there's no other one that has pulmonary, no other option. Okay, but if you want to check, okay, let's check number 2. Let's check 2. You can see 2 is seminal valve. Seminal valve. Now come here. Can you see seminal valve? Okay, let's go to 3. 3 is atrioventricular valve. Yeah, that's the tricuspid. All right. Yeah, that's it. And then 4 is what? Vena cava. Vena cava that brings blood. Now this is superior vena cava that brings blood, right, from the brain shoulder. So C is the answer, guys. Let's go. What does the inner side excuse me, what does the inner layer of veins and capillary contains? All of them have something in common. All blood vessels, they have something in common. Pause the video and tell me. Collagen fibers, found only in vein and artery. Okay, not found in capillary. Elastic, the same thing. Capillary is one celtic. Yeah, all of them are found. Okay, endothelium is found in all of them. Smooth muscle, not found in capillary. So endothelium is found in vein, arteries, and capillary. Don't forget it. C is the answer. Yeah, the diagram shows an anterior view of a vertical section through the human heart. Yes, see that. Giving us another. All right, this is not human heart, but let's solve this question anyway. What could result in accumulation of excess tissue fluid? So what will, okay, excess tissue fluid, pause it, we're looking at it. This is what is it called? It's called capillary net, okay, bed. This is arterial end, this is venous end. There's a distance, okay. The blood, water potential is maintained. You can see that blood pressure is decreasing, okay, as it moves from the artery into the arterial end of capillary, and then moves into the capillary and then vein, it decreases. So you have the lowest blood pressure in the vein, okay. All right, what could result in accumulation of excess tissue fluid? So for tissue fluid to accumulate, right, excess tissue to accumulate in the tissues, what could result to that? Pause the video and try it. A says an increase in the concentration of large proteins in the blood plasma. Remember, if we have more tissue fluid, all right, accumulating, all right, there is a problem there, and it suggests something. This is tissue fluid. If we have more tissue fluid, that means we have more water potential, higher potential in the blood. That is why more plasma are forced out. Okay, so to have higher water potential in the blood, you must have lower blood plasma. So they say an increase in concentration of large proteins in the blood. Now this lowers water potential. Okay, it's only the only thing that increases water potential is what will force tissue fluid out and have more tissue fluid. An increase in blood pressure, yes. Once the blood pressure increases, it's going to force out tissue fluid. Okay, blood plasma. Yeah, let's use blood plasma at the arterial end of capillaries. Okay, the decrease in concentration of small protein. If you have a decrease in concentration of small protein, we're going to have, all right, you have a decrease, you're going to have low water potential, and water or blood plasma cannot move out. So this is wrong. A decrease in blood pressure will not cause excess tissue to accumulate. So delta is also wrong. So the answer is B. Which statement is correct about a red blood cell that has just entered the capillary in aspiring tissue? So when a red blood cell just enters the capillary, what happens? Pause this video and try it. Okay, pause this video and try the answer. Remember, once it enters into respiring tissue, respiring tissues have high CO2 concentration. So anytime you have high CO2 concentration, you know now we're going to have high proton concentration. Okay, yeah, I'm going to have high carbon CO2 concentration and high chloride shift. Okay, now this says there is a net decrease in chloride ions. No more chloride ions will move in. Okay, because if you have more of this carbonate ion, it will move into plasma. Okay, so more will move into plasma, and then more chloride will move into red blood cell to replace the carbonate ion. So we're going to have more chloride ion. Sorry, this is chloride ion. So we're not going to have less chloride ion. Okay. Now B says there's a net decrease in hemoglobinic acid. No, because if you have high CO2 concentration, because it will dissolve in water to form carbonic acid, which is associated to form high proton and high carbonate. You remember this reaction now? Do you remember this reaction? We have drawn it several in this video. Okay, just want you to figure it out by yourself. Okay, this gives us this. They didn't want to go into it, but since there's a need for that, okay, yeah. So this is carbonic acid. All right. So if you increase CO2, you're going to increase this. And once you have more of hydrogen ion, so hydrogen ion will combine more with hemoglobin to form hemoglobinic acid. Do you get? So it's going to lead to increase in hemoglobinic acid. Increase. Because increase in CO2 concentration causes increase, all right, in hydrogen ion concentration. The more hemoglobinic acid, this is hemoglobinic acid. Okay, so there will not be decrease, there's going to be increase. So this is wrong. C says there is a net increase in carbonic anhydrase. Carbonic anhydrase is the enzyme that catalyzes this action, this part to and fro, combines this to form carbonic acid and eventually bring it out. So carbonic acid remains the same, it doesn't increase. Okay, it doesn't increase. There is a net increase in carboaminohemoglobin. Yes, if you have increase in CO2, more CO2 binds to the terminal amine group of hemoglobin, forming more carboaminohemoglobin. So this is correct. So delta is the answer. Let's go. The graph shows some blood pressure changes that occur in a human during one cardiac cycle. Okay, so let's quickly do that. Okay, what shows does systole and when does systole and end at the start of systole? There's a typo here, but we're talking about the start and the end. The start is systole, the start of systole, and the end of systole in the right atrium and the right ventricle. When does systole start in the right atrium, and when does it start in the right ventricle, and when does it also end in both of them? Okay, so pause the video and try. Okay, so don't forget that the dotted line is pressure in the left atrium. Okay, that's dotted smaller line. The dotted bigger line, pressure in the left ventricle, and the thick one is pressure in the aorta. Remember that during systole, because looking at what is happening at systole in right atrium, okay, you can see that the pressure is increasing. So in systole, heart muscles start contracting, the atrial muscles start contracting, and that is why it increases from T to U. Can you see it? Yeah, so it's from T to U, and then of course think V, but mainly is U, of course. If you say T to U, but if you check this, if you check for that also, we're looking at these two, okay, these two, so but normally it's supposed to be T to U. We're looking at systole. Systole is an increase in, but of course we can extend it to V, because from T to V, the pressure in the left atrium, this small dotted line, is greater than the pressure in the left ventricle. So as long as the pressure in left ventricle is greater than that of the left atrium, okay, is greater than left ventricle, it's still systole. Okay, so it's from T to V. Okay, we will finally settled with this. Okay, now look at it. When ventricle starts contracting, can you see the pressure in ventricle starts increasing? So it starts from V. From V, it starts increasing, but it's still higher than that of the aorta to X. So that means ventricular systole is from V to X. Okay, V to X. Starts from V, ends at X. So that is why A is the answer. Do you get? All right, let's run. Which factor affects blood pressure? Yes. Which of them? Solve them now, and I'll give you chocolate. The diameter of the blood vessels. Yes. The smaller the diameter, all right, the bigger the pressure. Is it a Bosch law or whatever that asks, all right? Of course, if you decrease the volume, the pressure will increase. Okay, yeah. So this is correct. the systolic pressure of the heart ventricles. Yes. So the higher that systolic pressure, the higher the blood pressure. Now 3 says the volume of blood returning to the heart. Yeah, hydrostatic pressure is also directly proportional to volume. That as volume increases, blood pressure will increase. Do you get? Hydrostatic pressures are directly proportional to their volume. More volume of any fluid, more of the pressure it exerts. So more hydrostatic pressure. Okay? Yep. So all of them are correct. Okay. So thiam is a molecule that inhibits carbonic anhydrase. This guy inhibits carbonic anhydrase. Then said, which effect would sodium have inside a red blood cell in muscle tissue that is respiring at a higher rate? Okay. Yeah. So what is the answer, guys? So remember that carbonic anhydrase, pause the video and try it. Alright, catalyzes this reaction. Most of the questions are from this reaction. Pay attention to this. Okay, you can see it's going to form carbonic anhydrase, carbonic acid, but that reaction is catalyzed by carbonic, right, anhydrase. So this carbonic acid dissociates to form proton, forms proton, and then it forms a carbonate ion. Do you get? Good. Now this is for reaction. Yeah, this carbonate ion, right? Yeah, you know, we've done this in over and over. So this is the part carbonic anhydrase catalyzes, both forward and backward. So if this carbonic anhydrase is inhibited, what happens? A says a decrease in the rate of formation of hemoglobinic acid. Yes, because you see, if you have more proton formed, more proton will combine with more hemoglobin to form a hemoglobinic acid. Okay, but if we have a less of this combined, less proton will form and less hemoglobinic acid will be formed. So I think this is the answer. Now B says a decrease in the pH. There are not going to be a decrease in the pH because less or none of this will form, and this is what decreases pH. And if it's not formed, okay, the pH will not decrease, it will not be acidic. Okay, C says an increase in the rate of chloride shift. Remember that if there's less of this CO2 combined to water to form this, so less carbonate ion will be formed, and less carbonate ion diffuses out of red blood cell into plasma to be transported, and the less chloride ion moves in. So this less will also decrease the rate of chloride shift. It will decrease it. Okay? Yes. Because we have less of this moving out. Now, an increase in dissociation of oxygen hemoglobin. Oxygen hemoglobin will not dissociate faster because you have less proton available. Okay? So it will not dissociate faster. But if this increases, then it will dissociate faster. But it cannot increase because this reaction is inhibited by this carbonic anhydrase. Okay, it's inhibited. So the answer should be A there. The partial pressure of oxygen in blood vessels in different parts of the body affects the percentage saturation of each hemoglobin molecule with oxygen. Okay, you can see that. Yeah. Which statement explains differences in saturation between a resting and active muscle? Okay, so I'd like you to solve, okay, this question. The difference between resting and active muscle. Now the first one, A says a small decrease in partial pressure causes 2 atoms of oxygen to leave each hemoglobin molecule because the oxygen saturation curve is sigma. Remember, explain what the difference in saturation between a resting, this is resting, and active muscle. So this is resting, you can see. This is, no, that's active, this is resting. Okay, let me use tick for them. Resting. So we check resting, the partial pressure here is 4. Okay, and the percentage saturation is 25. right? If you check active, so that's active. Can you see? And then you see that at active muscle, right, more respiration, more CO2 produced. Okay, so more oxygen released. So that means the percentage saturation of hemoglobin oxygen will be less. Hemoglobin will like to release oxygen to combine with proton. Okay, so if you check it, you can see that we have that hemoglobin basically, right? This is oxyhemoglobin. Okay, so oxyhemoglobin will have to unload oxygen. Okay, so it will have to unload oxygen, and of course it's 4 molecules of oxygen. 4 molecules. Yeah, 4 molecules of oxygen that it has to unload. Did you get? Yeah, this means that if at the scale of 100%, 4 molecules, that means that one molecule, when it combines with one molecule, we say it is 25%, because there are 4 of them. Okay, yeah, 25%. When it combines with 2 molecules, we say it's 50%. 3 molecules, 75. So this hemoglobin here is combined to 3 molecules of oxygen. This is combining to just 1 molecule, right? So the question says a small decrease in partial pressure causes 2 atoms of oxygen. It's not 2 atoms that will release, that will leave. Okay, what will leave is 2 molecules. Okay, are you following? Because to fall from here to here, all right, that means 2 molecules, all right, have to, because we're looking at the different saturation between the rest and active. So the difference between this and this, that's 50. Okay, yeah, so 52 molecules. Okay, 1 is 25, 50 is 2 molecules. So 50 is 2 molecules. All right, so of oxygen, not 2 atoms. So that is why A is wrong. Now B says a small decrease in partial pressure between this and that causes 2 molecules. And this is correct. 2 molecules of oxygen. So that's correct. But why is C wrong? Loading of oxygen. There cannot be loading of oxygen because this is respiratory tissue. Oxygen is not loaded in respiratory tissue. Oxygen is loaded in lungs. So the same thing, loaded in lungs. So the answer is bravo. Which statement about Bohr shift are correct? Okay. So I'd like you to pause the video and solve it. Bohr shift, pause the video, occurs when there's increase in concentration of CO2 or partial pressure of CO2, and that causes a decrease in partial percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen, because hemoglobin has to release oxygen to combine with hydrogen ion. Okay, they say which statement about Bohr shift are correct? They say the shift accelerated by action of carbonic anhydrase. Yes, so the more, of course, carbonic anhydrase will increase the reaction between CO2 and water to produce more protons and hydrogen carbon. So once more protons are produced, oxyhemoglobin will release oxygen faster to combine with hemoglobin, so it will facilitate it. Okay, now A says a decrease in blood pressure, in blood pH, will cause oxyhemoglobin to dissociate. So a decrease in blood pH, okay, yes, it will cause it to dissociate, so they can release oxygen and then combine with proton. Now 3 says a decrease in carbon dioxide concentration will cause more oxygen to bind. Yes, so once you reduce carbon dioxide concentration, there will be less hydrogen ion to combine with hemoglobin, or to compete for hem group in hemoglobin, so more oxygen will be picked up. Yeah, the 3 sentences are correct. Yeah, some of the events during cardiac cycle are listed. Okay, so you can see what they're asking us here is what happens. Okay, yeah, the question is not completed, but it's asking us what happens after arterial node has contracted. What happens? So what is the sequence? Look at it. What is the sequence of events after an arterial node sends out a wave of electrical activity? Once SAN sends out electrical activity, what are the sequence of events? Pause the video and try. What are the sequence of events when sinoatrial node sends out, okay, electrical impulses. So don't forget, guys, that once it sends it out, remember how this works. Remember that. I'm just gonna sketch something. This looks like somebody's heart, but it's not my heart. Is it your heart? Yeah, I'm just gonna sketch something. Okay. Yeah, just to sketch something here, guys. Please pardon me. Just sketch something. Just want to show you. Clean up this. Let me clean up that. Not intentional. Okay, yeah. Let's get back to the game. All right, look at this. Okay, so here we have a patch of cells. Sun is here. All right, sun that generates impulse. Okay, yeah, right atrium. Somewhere here we have AVN. AVN delays it. That's atrioventricular node. And then the ventricles is carried from AVN down to the apex by porcine tissue. I call it PK, porcine tissue. Okay, so the porcine tissue now carry it upward. So immediately see, sun generates electrical impulses. It then sweeps across the atrial wall. These are the atria, the upper chamber. These are ventricles. So that sweeps across the atrial wall. Okay, now I'm causing atria to contract. So the first one there, left and right atria contract. That's the first one there. So come to option. Where is number one? The first one. Okay, A and B. So C and D eliminated. Okay, let's check out again. Now once it sweeps, then the wave of electrical, all right, will have to pass through the node of, through the atrioventricular node, so it can be delayed for a short time, so that atria and ventricles don't contract at the same time, and that's going to be number 4. So A, 1 and 4. See, B is already the answer. It's only B that has 1 first and 4 second. If you check the rest, okay, then of course it's going to be carried from the AVN to the apex by this porcine tissue. So you see that, okay, yeah, and then after that it will move up the left and right ventricles. So 2 is the last one, so B is the answer. Okay, the photo micrograph show a blood smear. Which cell is a monocyte? Pause the video and check it. Which one is a monocyte? Monocyte is the same as macrophage. So A is monocyte. How do I know? It has kidney-shaped nucleus. It's large cell with kidney-shaped nucleus. Okay. Now I can say that B is red blood cell. Okay. Red blood cell, small and of course biconjugate shape, disc shape. C is neutrophils with lobed nucleus. D is lymphocytes. Large nucleus, compact nucleus occupies more than 2/3 of cytoplasm. So A is the monocyte. Alright, the table shows information about 3 blood vessels P, Q, and R from a mammal. Which role identifies blood vessel P, Q, and R? So I'd like you to pause the video and try. Which role identifies P, Q, and R, guys? Which role identifies it? P, Q, and R. P, Q, and R. P, Q, and R. Now watch. Let's go to diameter here. P, the diameter is 25. Q is 20. R is small. But look at the thickness. So the one that has the thickest distance should be artery. Come here. Which one is artery? A, because it has thick wall. A and B. So we are eliminating C and D based on that thickness. Alright, so artery. Let's check Q. Q, right, here is less thick and all of that, and of course it has closer to, everything has muscle, it has collagen, okay, but artery has more elastic tissue because it maintains blood pressure. Okay, so that means Q is vein. Yeah, now this arrow, okay, can you see it has one thickness, It has all of this. It cannot be capillary. Capillary is one cell thick. Okay, capillary doesn't have muscle collagen, so it's definitely going to be A. Okay, based on the knowledge of their structure. Ventricular septal defect (VSD) is a heart defect that people can have bear. People with VSD have a hole in their small septum that separates the left and right ventricles. Wow. Okay. Now, what could happen in a person with VSD? So let's see what you got. Fry this fish, guys. Yeah. What could happen if somebody has it? Okay. If I were to sketch a heart, that's not my heart. I don't know whether it is your heart, but pardon me for the sketch. So, but meanwhile, make sure you solve this question right now. Sketch a heart. Yeah. So, what is the answer? What is the answer, guys? So, this is gonna act as septum. So, I have another pulmonary artery there. Okay, that's my vena cava. So, what is the answer? Just to okay. So this comes down here. Yeah, and forms for me atrioventricular valve. Oh, okay. Yeah. The same thing for this comes down here and then forms for me atrioventricular valve 2. Can you see? Okay. So let's go. Right now, they say that I have a hole in the wall of septum that separates the left and right ventricles. So this is left ventricle, left V. This is right V. Okay, don't forget that left ventricle is thicker down, has thicker wall. So if there's a hole here, there's a hole here. Okay, there's a hole here. Left ventricle has thicker wall than right ventricle, and left ventricle pumps oxygenated blood. Right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood. So the one that has thicker wall will generate more pressure. So when both of them contract, which direction should blood flow? Will it move from right ventricle, okay, to left, or from left to right? Because it's going to move from left ventricle to right, because this left ventricle has thicker walls and more pressure. Okay. So all right, let's go. So blood will leak through the hole mostly from right to left. No, it's not going to move from right to left because left generate more pressure. So the flow will be in the direction of from high pressure to low pressure. So it cannot be from right to left because left has thicker wall and it generates more pressure. So one is eliminated, one is wrong. Then they say the volume of blood circulating through the lungs will be higher than in a person with VCD. Yeah, through the lungs. Remember that more blood will now move from left ventricle to right ventricle, and right ventricle pumps the blood to pulmonary artery. So pulmonary artery, okay, all right, takes the blood to the lungs. So you see that more blood will move from here to here, okay, more blood because this is thicker, more pressure. So that means that the volume of blood circulating through the lungs will actually be higher than, right, in a PC, okay, than someone that has PC. So this is correct. VCD. Less oxygen will be delivered to the body tissue. Yes, because less blood, oxygenated blood, is pumped into aorta from left ventricle to this. This is aorta. Okay, less blood. You get? So and then less oxygen delivered. Yeah. Which statement about the structure of the heart is correct? Yeah, pause the video and try. It says the seminal valves close when the pressure in the ventricle falls lower than where are we? Okay, I think we need to go back. Yeah. Okay. Alright, yeah, this is where we stopped. But don't forget, I didn't mention something here. Yeah, this is seminal valve, okay? Yeah, that's aortic. This is a pulmonary, right? Yes. Okay, let's go on. Yeah. So which statement about the structure of the heart is correct? The seminal valves close when the pressure in the ventricles fall. Pause the video and try it. The seminal valve closes when the pressure in the ventricle falls lower than the pressure in the artery. That's correct. So that the blood does not flow from the arteries back to the ventricles. So it has to close. Okay. Now, I don't know. Should I show you that? Should I show you that? Look at it. So when there's more pressure here and here compared to ventricles here and here, so these valves will close so that blood does not flow backwards. Okay, blood should not flow backward. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Now B says a muscle called septum separates the atria from the ventricle. No, septum separates the two sides of the heart, not the atria from the ventricle. C says there is a small patch of tissue in the right atrium act as delayed by the electrical, to delay the electrical impulse. No, it's trying to explain sound, but sound does not delay it, sound generates it. Now, closure of valves in the vein prevent backflow of blood into the ventricle. Now, if you check again, you see that, look at it. The veins do not pump blood to they don't have direct link. These are the veins, vena cava and pulmonary vein. They don't have direct link to the ventricles. They have to move their blood to the atria. The atria move it. So that is why that particular one, D is wrong. So the answer is clause A. Which statements about arteries are correct? Yeah, so which ones are correct? Check it out quickly. Arteries can resist high pressure. Pause video and try it. Yes, because they have thick elastic wall and of course collagen fiber. Arteries pump blood out of the heart. They don't pump blood. It's the heart that pumps blood. Blood in arteries has the same flow rate as in vein. No. Blood flows faster in arteries. The mean velocity of blood is high in arteries. Now, 4 says the pulse in arteries is the result of surge in blood that causes expansion of the artery. Well, yes, this is correct. Now, 5 says there are seminal valves at junctions of arteries with the heart. Yes. So it's 1, 5, and 4. Okay. 1, 5, and 4. That is C. Yeah, 1, 5, or 4. C is the answer. Let's go to the next question. All right. Now, what happens during ventricular systole in a mammalian heart? Okay. So during ventricular systole, the ventricle is contracting. Pause the video and try it. So when ventricle is contracted, what is happening? The A says atrioventricular node transmits an electrical signals to the apex of the heart. It's not atrioventricular node that transmits it, it's the Purkinje tissue. Okay? So atrioventricular nodes, right, delays signals, right? But later passes it to PK, Purkinje tissue. Purkinje tissue will now carry it to the apex of the heart. Purkinje tissue is not atrioventricular node. Now 2 says the pressure in the ventricle drops below the pressure in the atria. Now during ventricular systole, the pressure in the ventricle increases, doesn't drop. Okay. Alright, 3 says the atrioventricular valves close and seminal valves open. Yes. So when ventricles are contracting, the pressure in the ventricles is higher than the pressure in the atria. So to prevent backflow of blood from the ventricles to the atria, the atrioventricular valves have to close, and the blood has to move to the aorta and pulmonary arteries. So the seminal valves open. So it's only number 3 that is correct. So D is the answer. A shortage of protein in the diet of children can lead to a disease that causes excess tissue fluid to build up in the abdomen. Okay, sorry, the slideshow is long here. So, what explains why a build-up, of excessive fluid can occur in this tissue? So, we'll show the answer. Okay, why is B the answer? Okay, why is A wrong? It's a shortage of blood plasma. Remember that if there's going to be a buildup of tissue fluid, that means that blood, remember, blood forms, this is blood. Blood forms the tissue fluid. Okay, blood is used to form tissue fluid. So this is what is it called? Plasma leaking out. So if it's going to be excessive tissue fluid, that means that we have high water potential in the blood. The water potential in the blood is high, very high. That's why it moves out. Okay, and the only thing that causes high water potential in the blood is when we have less plasma protein. Okay, look at A. A shortage of plasma proteins decreases blood water potential. No, a shortage of plasma protein will increase it, because some of these the proteins are soluble in water, so they are globular, right? So if you have less protein, plasma protein, okay, water potential will increase. So that's why this is wrong. Says decreases. Now B says a shortage of blood plasma protein increases water potential. Yeah, so you see it. So if you have less blood plasma protein, so that means that we have less water. Sorry, we're gonna have more water, because the plasma protein is just like a solute. If you have less solute, more water potential. Okay, so this is all right. We have less shortage of plasma protein. That's why we have high water, and then high water will cause high tissue to form. Now A says a shortage of protein in the diet causes weak cardiac muscle, reducing heart pressure. Nope. Okay, that's not correct. This is a shortage of protein in the tissue fluid decreases it. No, a shortage of protein increases water potential. Alright, that's what B is. Okay, choosing the answer. Red blood cells may contain a molecule known as where is it? Red blood cell contains a molecule known as 2,3-biosulfoglycerate 2,3-BPG. Then look at the narrative. So when 2,3-BPG binds to hemoglobin in a higher binds to hemoglobin, a higher partial pressure of oxygen is needed. Okay, to bring about 50% saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen. What does that mean? Which statement about the effect of 2,3-BPG are correct? Which statement about them correct? Okay, pause the video and try it. Pause the video and try it. Remember that if this binds to this, and of course, and we're needing a high partial pressure of oxygen, that means that this 2,3-BPG, okay, lowers the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen, because when it binds to hemoglobin, that means we're going to need more oxygen for hemoglobin to bind to oxygen again. So it lowers the oxygen. All right, affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. Okay, let's look at the first question. Says here, a 2,3-BPG in red blood cells causes the oxygen saturation curve to shift to the right. Yes, whatever lowers the percentage, the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen, right, will cause the graph to shift to the right. Remember, this is the normal graph. If it's going to shift to the right, that means you're going to have less affinity. Okay, once a curve is to the right here, this one, okay, the hemoglobin here is less saturated with oxygen compared to this, because if you trace it, which you checked it the other time, if you trace this pressure, you can see that the one that at the right side has lower affinity, because it has lower saturation compared to the original one that has higher saturation. Higher saturation means higher affinity. So this will cause oxygen curve to shift to the right, correct? Now the binding of 2,3-PG to the hemoglobin reduces blood sharing. No, it doesn't reduce it, it increases it, because it's causing it to shift to the right. So it's lowering the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen and reducing the percentage saturation of hemoglobin for oxygen. That is why it's shifting it. Can you see? It's shifting. This is a higher percentage saturation. Is reducing it to a lower one. Okay, which is this. So it does not reduce Bohr effect. It increases. 3 says the binding of 2,3-PG of hemoglobin lowers affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. Yes, it lowers it. it lowers it. Okay, that's why the partial pressure, at the same partial pressure, the percentage solution decreases. Okay, it lowers it. Now 4 says when 2,3 Pg is not present, oxyhemoglobin is less likely to unload oxygen. If it's not present, that means that hemoglobin will bind more to oxygen. Do you get? So it's not going to unload oxygen. So it's not going to unload it. Okay? Yeah, so this is wrong. We have only 1 and 3 correct. B. Okay, carbon dioxide is continually produced by respiratory tissue. If it diffuses into red blood cells and dissociates into hydrogen ions and hydrogen carbonate ion, we have seen that hydrogen carbonate ion then diffuses out of the cell in exchange of chloride ions in the chloride shift. What is the importance of chloride shift? What is the importance? So pause the video and try it. Okay, what is the importance of chloride shift? Not supposed to waste time here. It says it helps to maintain a neutral pH in the red blood cell by acting as a buffer. Now this is not chloride shift. This is hemoglobin. Okay, combining with proton to form hemoglobinic acid. Is that okay? All right. So B says it maintains a balance of positive and negative charges between. Yes, plasma. That's correct. Because in chloride shift, hydrogen carbonate ion diffuse out of red blood cell into plasma, while chloride ion diffuse in. Okay, two of them are negative. When one negative leaves, then the other negative ions joins to maintain the balance of positive and negatives. Okay. C says it causes the oxygen dissociation curve to shift to the left, releasing more oxygen. No, it will not shift. If it shifts to the left, it will not release more oxygen. When they shift to the left, that means that the affinity of hemoglobin has increased and less oxygen will be released. Do you get? So that is it. It's wrong. More oxygen is released when shift to the right. Okay. This is it prevents carbon dioxide combining with hemoglobin, allowing hemoglobin to combine with oxygen. It says prevent carbon dioxide combining with hemoglobin. Okay, allowing hemoglobin to combine with oxygen. It does not prevent carbon dioxide, right, from combining with hemoglobin. Okay, it doesn't prevent it. Do you get? Yeah, because carbon dioxide combines it with hemoglobin at another site called the terminal amine group to form carbamino hemoglobin. Okay, so it doesn't affect it at all. So that is why the answer is there. Okay, so thank you for hanging on. See you in the next series on gas exchange. Bye.